I'll get guys that, they've tried approaching or online dating or, some of the more, I call them hunting strategies, right? Top of the funnel stuff. But they want to skip that and they want to start doing social circle right away. And I tell them, I'm like, you can try to do that, but you're most likely not going to succeed with that. You're probably going to get friend zoned a lot. You're not going to be able to convert the girls that you do befriend into, relationship potential later. Your social skills aren't going to be strong enough because you haven't gone through basically like you haven't done any approaching. You haven't done any sort of social freedom stuff to get yourself out of your head. Your vibe sucks. You're way too analytical. You're way too boring. And I find that even guys who are a little bit older, because I'll work with guys up until their early 60s. I've got a few clients in there. A lot of guys in their 50s. I'm older. I'm 43. So I guess I resonate.
I had no idea you were 43, by the way. I thought you were my age, but learn something every day.
Yeah,
I'm 33, about to be 34, so I thought you were around my age.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I like to get those "you look young" compliments, of course. So
yeah,
and my wife's 26, so she keeps me young. I guess I'm a vampire.
I'm sure she does.
They did a study that the younger your wife is, the longer you live. So.
Yeah, because you got to stay in there, You're hitting the gym. Like, I can't be having heart problems at this age. I gotta get out there.
Exactly. The idea is that these guys want to skip steps. And I tell them listen, you don't have to go out and approach girls in bars or clubs if that's not your scene. But I always do recommend a healthy dose of top of the funnel approaching, doing things to get yourself out of your comfort zone and to just sort of get comfortable expressing attraction, to get comfortable talking to strangers. And I feel that really improves their vibe before they can do a lot of this later on in the funnel stuff.
Yeah, you got to get them in there somehow. You have to have some level of charisma or persuadability. If you just walk in there not being able to talk, how are you going to get them in the circle to begin with? Unless you own a modeling company or you're like a big time drug dealer, it's really difficult to just randomly get introduced to all these people who are, or all these women who are attractive. So you're going to have to start somewhere. And yeah, game is the perfect way to start out. So I think, you learning game and then doing social circles, the perfect way of doing it. It's how I learned as well, too. You have to learn how to talk to somebody first and be able to get them to follow you. Okay. I find women, unless they're willing to follow a guy, they will not sleep with him. If you're following her around all the time and she's bringing you to all of these events, she might like you at first, but that attraction is dying. It might die slowly if you're lucky, but it is dying and it will go dead at some point. So you have to flip the script back into your favor and get her to start following you. And at the end of the day, that's what she wants. Women want to be able to follow a guy, but in the modern world, there are less and less men that women want to follow, especially now that a lot of women are making more than their male counterparts.
Totally. Yeah. There's so many, women now that are like, I can pay my own bills. I can live where I want, do what I want. I've got my career figured out. What do I need a man child for? And there's a lot of guys that don't have their shit figured out. And it's tough for guys, obviously. I always show this graph. I don't know if you've probably seen this, but most guys haven't seen this. And it's just kind of the difference in how fast men and women mature and their value on the sexual marketplace. You've seen this before?
Yeah. I've seen versions of it with varying, there's sometimes the lines converge at different places. But I'd say I've seen something like this a lot.
Yeah. Obviously, the wording on this is a little aggressive, but there's
male
the
access zone by age. I love it.
Right. And I saw this graph the first time. I think I was 32. And, you see right around 32, 33, most guys kind of come into their stride. They start making money at their career. They start doing, a lot better, just with their mental health. This is after a lot of guys have tied the knot. And obviously women are way more judged by their beauty and their looks at an early age. And that gives them that level 10 access, when they're 19, 20 to 24. But guys in their mid to late 20s, I mean, I had a hell of a time. I was doing all the pickup stuff, but getting nothing, and that's when I was doing all the pickup stuff between age 23 and I didn't really start doing social circle stuff until my early 30s. Right. And I was putting in, thousands of reps, thousands of approaches, going out hardcore. I mean, I loved it. It was both my career and my passion hobby. It was just tough. And now what I see from guys in their mid 20s, early 20s, late 20s, it's so much harder than it was, 20 years ago when I was going through that phase. And I feel like even 10 years ago was significantly easier. There was no online dating. There was no Instagram really. And I feel like these things have made it a little bit more challenging. Plus, it's just at that age as a guy, it's hard to navigate. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't have a lot of value.
You're talking about early 20s, right?
Yeah. Early mid 20s.
Early 20s sucks, dude. You get out of college, and if you're like a 22-year-old guy, senior year of college, you probably think you're the man. You feel like you're the fucking bee's knees, right? And the freshmen coming in, you're not worried about them stealing your girl or anything. You go into the real world, now you're competing with 28-year-olds. Now you're competing with guys in their mid 30s, who's like, hey, come party on my yacht later. And you don't have a yacht. You don't got the money for that, and you don't have the emotional maturity they do. You're probably running around with your dick in your hand, all try hard. There's a lot of things that make it so intimidating to get out, and you're just totally unprepared for it. The logistics are harder too. In college, it's like, hey, my house is literally right here. We're partying in my house right now. That doesn't happen so much when you get into the real world. So yeah, dude, I think guys in their early 20s have it tough. And, I think there is some pressure on society for, men once they hit their late 20s and early 30s to like settle down. And so it's not a cakewalk once you hit that age. You definitely have to fight some of the internal programming that goes along. And that's not to say if you want to settle down in your early 30s, like I think it's a good time to do it. But if you're a guy who never had success with women and now you're starting to get success, really tough to convince that guy, hey, now you got to settle for the first girl that comes your way, because he's thinking, well, finally, I'm able to enjoy myself and actually feel like a man, and I'm just supposed to give it up, So I think, you have to fight some internal battles that are going on.